two conventions, the Republican and Democrat conventions, this is one way that you can help to fuel the info war. This is the way that we fund our operation. You know, Alex could have funded the operation any number of ways. We could have taken traditional commercial sponsors. Then we would have been captive to the vagaries of people who don't like what we report. You can't remain independent that way. We could have taken charitable donations, or we could have taken government money. But, you know, I really appreciate what Alex did. What he did was he came up with products that addressed the needs that he sees out there. Having clean water, clean air, pure food, having a backup food source, all the sorts of things that we understand that we need in our lives to help you to get the highest quality versions of that, and also give it to you at a great price. And then periodically to offer deep, deep discounts. And that's what we've got going now with this sale. We had a lot of sales with a July 4th weekend. We have extended for one more day, 2 of those. That's 20% off Survival Shield X2. That's our nascent iodine. A great product, as one of our most popular products, selling out very quickly. And, of course, food. 20 to 40% off InfoWars Select storable food. A shelf life of 25 years. Great packaging. It can be resealed once you open it for short-term use. And it's made all in America, packaged in America. All the packaging and the food is made in America. It is GMO-free, a great quality of backup source for your food. But that's how you fuel and protect yourself. It's also how you fuel the info war. And I think it's a great way. It's a win-win situation. We really appreciate your support, and we really need it now as we're sending all of our reporters into the field for these 2 conventions. It's going to be a lot of coverage that we're going to be doing live. And again, if you want to keep independent media independent, if you want to keep InfoWars going, it's a win-win situation, and we try to help you as much as we can with these discounts. Again, 2 more, 2 items that are still on sale ending tonight. That's 20% off Survival Shield X2 and 20 to 40% off InfoWars Select storable food. Now, we're talking about money. I tell you, it is as Wall Street Journal pointed out, this Pokemon Go thing is monster profits. They had their market cap go up 25% and then an additional 13% today. They're up $8 billion in market capitalization. And that's a huge increase because now their total market cap is $30 billion. So just that one particular product, to give you an idea of just how popular it is, they report on RT, they say it has almost surpassed Twitter in daily active users. And this is just with the United States. This is not talking about Europe. Okay, it's not come online with this. It's overtaken Tinder. It's racked up more usage time than WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram, and Nintendo's value has increased, as I point out, by $8 billion, okay? And it hasn't even been out for a week yet. Now, they point out that also on the U.S. iPhone revenue, they hit #1 in just a half a day. That's pretty much unprecedented. If you look at this article, they talk about how people have found a dead body. I think it was out in Montana. We've had traffic chaos. One guy says, well, I live in an old church. He said, that means many things. Today it means that my house is a Pokemon Go gym. He said, this should be fascinating. In other words, he woke up to a crowd of people wandering around his house and his garden because they saw that his church had been flagged as a gym. So basically go around, you collect these little augmented reality characters, and then you can take them somewhere and at a gym, and you can have a fighting contest, evidently, with it. Another person says, just witnessed a car accident because a guy was playing Pokemon and stopped in the road to catch one. See, that's where it becomes dangerous. That's where you take yourself out of reality. As I look at this article from The Hill, Pokemon Go craze swarms Capitol Hill. They say that they've got all these staffers as well as tourists in the area are going all over these landmarks finding Pokemon. And they say they have them at the Capitol building, at the White House, at the Pentagon, and it's like, that could be pretty dangerous. You might want to have a talk to your kids. Washington is one of these places where they shoot first and ask questions later, unfortunately. But I think really what concerns me about this is the idea that people don't really understand what is behind some of the geospatial intelligence. Okay, that was the article that Kit Daniels talked about yesterday, the link to the CIA developer who was also linked to In-Q-Tel, which is the venture capital firm of the CIA. Remember, geospatial intelligence, as we talked about with the Jade Helm situation, is the fastest growing branch of intelligence that our government has in order to watch us. It is an essential part of that. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to talk about activity-based intelligence. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and we were just talking about Pokemon Go. We're just getting to what I think is really the important point about this, and that is its access to our privacy and what that really means for us. And we had this article from Kit Daniels yesterday. Pokemon Go is linked to the CIA, and he points out the developer of Pokemon Go, Niantic Inc., was founded by John Hank, who previously received funding from the CIA's venture capital firm In-Q-Tel to develop what eventually became Google Earth. In-Q-Tel was once described as an independent strategic investment firm that identifies innovative technology solutions to support the missions of the U.S. intelligence community. You understand what fascism is? Fascism is not only just authoritarianism, because, you can have authoritarianism under socialism, but it's also where the government controls private corporations. I mean, why is the CIA getting rich off of this technology? And, of course, that's really what's happening. I mean, we see these guys work for the CIA for decades, and they come out, and somehow, all of a sudden, they get hooked up with a sweetheart deal in the oil business and become overnight billionaires. We've seen that over and over again. So, yeah, they manipulate markets. They manipulate companies. They invest in companies. But it also, as he points out, it turns your smartphones into essentially an imperial probe droid. Okay? Takes real-time, ground-level footage of where you are and monitors where you are. Now, we've talked about this before. We talked about it when we were looking at Jade Helm. Remember, Jade Helm was mastering the human domain. That was the tagline on Jade Helm. Human domain analytics is essentially looking at your activity-based intelligence. That's another part of geospatial intelligence. This is the fastest-growing division of the intelligence state. Geospatial intelligence. Where are you? Where are you? Understand that when you play Pokemon Go, you open up all of your privacy application, settings to that particular application. So it knows everything about where you are. We're told over and over again, don't worry, the NSA isn't listening to your phone conversations and transcribing them or collecting your text messages. Well, that may or may not be true. They say, we're just looking at your metadata. Your metadata is the most important issue. We've had William Binney, former technical head of the NSA, point that out to us. But look at the geospatial intelligence community. Look at where James Clapper has essentially hung out for the last 15 years. They want to know what you're doing. That's activity-based intelligence. This is a perfect example of it. And they want to take that and map it. That's what human domain analytics is. They want to map where you are, where you go, who you know, what your political beliefs are, what your religious beliefs are. They want to get a full profile of you. It's all about pre-crime analysis. They want to identify who criminals are, who terrorists are, before they even do anything. Minority Report style, okay? Understand that. So when we look at that, we need to understand the potential for abuse, and we need to understand that the connections to the people who are constantly abusing our civil liberties, the CIA. And as he points out further in the article, it says, in the early 2000s, In-Q-Tel invested in Keyhole Incorporated. The company was founded by this same developer who developed 3D flyby images of buildings and terrain from geospatial data collected by satellites. The name Keyhole was an homage to the KH spy satellites first launched by the American National Reconnaissance Office. This is all tied together, folks. When we look at Jade Helm and the issues involved in that, the fact that it was put out there for people, we'd had multiple drills that were very high profile, surprise drills throughout the country, from coast to coast, in cities. And then we see that there's this massive multi-state drill with all these different intelligence services. And so we talked about that. And nobody ever saw anything when that happened. So what did they do? Did they pull back? We had a couple of communities where the sheriff said, we don't want that happening here because we've seen what these drills have looked like in the past. So maybe they scaled it back or shut it down altogether. Or maybe they did it in the dead of night, did it secretly, because that's really what the whole purpose of it was to avoid detection. So maybe they did it, we didn't see them. Or maybe the whole thing was put out there as an effort to see who was going to oppose them, to map that onto their human domain analytics. You have to understand that this is where our government is headed. And as I look at this article from Wired Magazine, artificial intelligence is setting up the internet for a huge clash with Europe. They're talking about neural networks. Now, this is a particular type of network where they essentially model the human brain with a network of, they model the neurons that are inside the human brain in this computer network, okay? That gives them the ability to learn. And they point out in Wired Magazine, these computer neural networks have learned to recognize faces and photos, to identify spoken commands, to translate text from one language to another. They're helping to choose what you see when you query Google or where you visit Facebook News. See, that's how they manipulate what you see. That's a key part of human domain analytics. One of the things that they want to do is to see if their propaganda, if their control is working. I mean, at this point, that's a key part of what they're doing. They put this stuff out there. They try to control what you see by controlling your Google searches, by controlling your Facebook news feed, and then they monitor to see how public opinion is being affected. Are they having an effect? Are they winning the information war? Are they controlling your mind? That's why they do this. And then they're pointing out that it means that they're going to come into a clash with the European Union because the European Union has put in a law, they call it the right to be forgotten, and we've talked about this before, that would essentially bar private companies from retaining some of this information. Understand, though, that the governments are not going to forget anything. The governments are not going to flush anything down the memory hole. They may come up with draconian fines for private companies to make them flush stuff down the memory hole, but they're not going to forget a single thing that you say or do on the internet. They're going to store that. And you need to understand that at the very least, however, even though I don't think this is going to be very effective to protect privacy, when I look at this conflict that Wired Magazine is talking about, think about the fact that at least in Europe, they understand the importance of privacy. We don't even understand the importance of privacy in America anymore. The Fourth Amendment is not only dead, but the principles behind it are not even respected or valued in America anymore. You know, we had people who had written that because why? They had soldiers who were quartered in their homes. They had soldiers who would show up and rifle through their personal belongings. And so they put in protections and said, you're not going to do that without a search warrant. And that search warrant is going to say, it's going to be very specific about what you're looking for, where you're looking for it, who you're looking at, and why. And now we have ignored all of that. We said, we don't really care about our privacy and our personal effects or in our person. You can put your hands on us. You can stop us on the street, and you can frisk and search us. You can make it a condition for us to travel on airplanes and soon on other devices. Because we value only safety in this country. We don't value anything else. We don't understand the potential for danger that an all-powerful, all-seeing, total information awareness state presents to us. That's the real key. And when I watch people, you know, we look at this and I see Americans being turned into Pokemon Jigglypuffs, or as we would have said back in my generation when we read books, Eloy. You know, those little pink things that were part of H.G. Wells' Time Machine. He goes in the future, and he's got all these little pink giggly things called Eloy. And then there's the dark Morlocks that they come out from underground, and some of these Eloy disappear. At first, he thinks that the Eloy are the ones who are in charge. So you think you're in charge, don't you? But you got to realize that it's this dark underground government, the Morlocks, that are really playing you. You're nothing but their cattle, and they're tracking you everywhere you go. When I look at what's happening, and of course, one of these reports about Pokemon Go, they were talking about how, I just saw an accident happen because a guy was trying to collect some Pokemon figures in his augmented reality search. Okay. Doesn't that sound like what's going on with our self-crashing cars? See, Tesla has taken an approach where they give you the steering wheel, and they're going to augment the driving experience for you, just like Pokemon Go does with augmented reality. Okay. Google is going to give you a full virtual reality experience. They're going to take away your steering wheel. They're going to take away